All right, we have a trade here as the Detroit Lions go out and, after the Aiden Hutchinson injury, we were wondering, are they going to make a move on an edge rusher? There was some speculation of a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby. And listen, if those guys were actually available, I'm sure they're picking up the phone and making a call, but I doubt those guys were actually available. So the Lions do, I think, a smart thing and go out and just make sure to get another guy in the room, right? They don't necessarily need someone who can come in and be a superstar player. The odds of a guy at Hutchinson's level becoming available are very slim, if even existent at all. So not going to get that, but someone like Za'Darius Smith, I think is still I think it's a smart move by the Detroit Lions. Now, a couple things to note. So first, the compensation is, when you read it, it feels shockingly low. The Lions are getting Za'Darius Smith and a 7th round pick, and they're giving up a 5th and a 6th. So they essentially the Lions move back in 1 round, and then they give up a 5th round pick, is the way to view it, which isn't nothing. Listen, those picks towards the end of the draft still do matter, right? It can really help you fill out a roster because you don't have to sign free agents. You can instead save money by being able to just draft guys who can hopefully fill out the depth. It matters, but it doesn't matter as much as a guy like Za'Darius Smith matters, right? So why did it go for such a little amount of draft capital? Well, Za'Darius Smith is not a 1-year rental, and that's either a positive or a negative depending on how he plays, right? He is someone who is 32 as of right now, although it should be mentioned, is still having a good season. If you look at PFF grades, if you're into that kind of thing, he currently has a 73.6 grade, which isn't quite as high as the grades we've seen him have in the past that were in the 80s. The past 2 years he had a grade over 80, but still, it's a solid grade, and it's around what we've seen him do for most of his career. It's nothing out of the ordinary. So, again, it is in a very good situation in Cleveland because you get Myles Garrett on the other side. You're going to get a lot of one-on-one matchups. Next year, if Smith is still on the Lions, he will get a lot of one-on-one matchups with Hutchinson on the other side. But this year, maybe not as many. However, still, he's a player, right? He's someone who can win his one-on-one matchups, and that's what the Lions needed. But yeah, the thing is, he is not a pure 1-year rental. He is someone who this year is getting paid essentially nothing. He's going to get paid $600,000 by the Lions. The Browns are taking on the rest of this year's salary. It has not yet been, I've looked everywhere, I have not yet found exactly how much he is going to be getting paid in 2025 by the Lions. Now, Sports Track and Over the Cap are a little bit different on this, but they both share one thing, which is that his overall cash that he is owed in 2025 is right around $10 million. The Browns have paid the rest of that, and not all of that cash is guaranteed too. Only about half of it is guaranteed. So you have about $5 million guaranteed, and I think another $5 million non-guaranteed, which is not that much for Za'Darius Smith, if we're being honest. If that is the number that they're going to be on the hook for paying $10 million for him next year, that's not a ton, but I do wonder if that's part of why the draft capital doesn't go as long of a way as maybe it would have had it just maybe a 1-year rental would have gotten more, because teams are more willing to add a guy who's, they don't have to worry about paying in the future years. But it's a little bit weird because he's been a good player, so he's certainly someone that I don't think it's a bad idea to pay him. So I don't know, kind of a weird situation there. However, for the Browns, I'm sure what they're going to argue, and correctly argue, is that, listen, we would have loved to get a 1st-round pick for Za'Darius Smith if we could have. You can only get what a team is willing to trade you, and if this is all we were, someone was willing to get, if this is all we were able to get, getting some draft picks for a guy who, is a solid player but is 32 isn't going to help us in this rebuild. Kyle and I were joking about on the podcast, given where Cleveland's at, they might as well just trade everyone who's has value as of right now. I think I said, if this guy's not going to help you 3 seasons down the line, it's probably not worth it to keep him just because of where they're at. They're in a rebuild. So because of this, just getting some picks and clearing up some cap space, why not, right? It's definitely a move that's better than keeping him. I do think if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you would have loved to see, you get a little bit more for him, but if there's not someone willing to pay more than that, then that's it. It is a little surprising no one was willing to pay more for Za'Darius Smith, though, right? I mean, you have these teams really competing, right? I mean, the first team I think about, because I'm a Tampa Bay fan, is like, could Tampa Bay have made a move like this? Smith would have fit great in that defense. Could they have just given up a 5th round pick period to get a player who could help them out for this year and next year at that position? But there's other teams, like I think the Bengals could have been a team that really could have used someone like this. We saw them trade already today. So to be honest, there's a good amount of teams that, I mean, who couldn't use an extra edge rusher, right? A lot of teams could use an extra edge rusher, so it feels like a bit of a surprise. This is all they get. Let's end this talking about what this is going to do for the Lions, because, where are the Lions at? So you have Aiden Hutchinson, who, again, you're not replacing Aiden Hutchinson, but what you can do is make sure you get some pressure right now, because it's not just Hutchinson. They have other injuries at the edge rush position right now, and quite frankly, most of the guys they're putting in just haven't played great. Like, the Lions have looked so good during this win streak, but the one thing that is fair to say is they have not done a great job at rushing the passer. Even in that Green Bay game, where like pretty much everything else went well for them, I thought Jordan Love had time in the pocket on a lot of these plays until he eventually, would hold on to the ball for too long or try to scramble and make something happen. So getting someone who can be a really good player on the edge is, I think, important. I think just getting a guy, because you look at the interior, it's really good. I mean, Aleem McNeil is awesome. We all know he's awesome. He just got paid recently. DJ Reader has been a real nice addition to them. A really good run-stuffing interior defensive lineman who can still help out in the pass rush game. And also, Levi Onwuzurike, who I remember thinking was like a great prospect when he was drafted, and he's had injuries and hasn't really been able to live up to the hype, but he's having a good season as well this year for the Detroit Lions. So they're really good up the middle. Getting someone like Za'Darius Smith, just again, can he win his one-on-one matchups? The answer is yes, and so it goes a long way. Is this going to be the move that like makes them like from good to bad? No, it can't do something like that. But they're not good. Or I said good to bad. I meant bad to good. No, it's not a move like that. But is it a move that can turn you from good to great? Maybe not even that, but they're already great. This can be the move that turns you from great to Super Bowl champion. It really can. Like, this will really help in the long run. You have to be reminded of the Von Miller trade with the Rams, right? They felt they needed an edge rusher. Now, they had Aaron Donald. They had a different situation. But still, they wanted an edge rusher. They said, let's go out and get Von Miller for that was a pure one-year rental. But it helped them win the Super Bowl. I don't think they win that Tampa Bay game if they didn't have Von Miller out there. He was a real force in that game, in a game that came down to a last-second field goal. I'm bringing up the Bucs too much. Okay, got to stop talking about my team for the Lions. I mean, this is a great move for them. So yeah, definitely a fan of it from their perspective. So yeah, what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Za'Darius Smith? He's been to he just hates the Bears, I think, because he's played out of 3 out of 4 teams in the NFC North at this point: the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings. So maybe he'll sign up the Bears in a couple years. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.